Welcome to the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast. Tune in every Thursday as we share inspirational stories from the world's greatest creators, entrepreneurs, and go-getters about how they've turned life's lemons into lemonade. And now, here's your host of Lemonade Stand Stories, Charan Prabhakar.
Hey guys, welcome to the Lemonade Stand Podcast. I'm your host, Charan Prabhakar, and I'm here with Mr. Derek Miner, and I'm so grateful that you are here. And it's kind of interesting because Derek is actually a part of Lemonade Stand. So it's kind of like I'm talking to myself, but Derek is also here.
Glad to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. But Derek, you are the original citrus man, if I don't mind saying so myself, because before Lemonade Stand was even a thing, when the internet was first coming to fruition, dial-up was kind of becoming a thing, or past dial-up and past Alta Vista when Google was happening. We knew that in order for just different businesses and whatnot to get recognized, people needed to master the internet, and they needed to kind of figure out how do you market and get your business out to the world. And so Derek formed Orange Soda, if that's correct, and you formed Orange Soda as a digital marketing agency to help businesses, local businesses and bigger businesses that really don't know how to use the internet, market themselves. It was like a whole new platform. And when you have like typical brick and mortar stores that have only been doing retail sales and just kind of doing billboards or whatnot to get their name out there, it was difficult to navigate this internet landscape. And so you formed Orange Soda, not Orange Stand. That was weird. You formed Orange Soda, and then from there transitioned to what is now Lemonade Stand. So I would love to hear your story, hear your journey in the world of digital marketing, how you even got into digital marketing. But yeah, thank you, Derek. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I think just starting with the question of how I got into digital marketing, way back in the olden days.
Yeah, go on. Tell me more.
You were talking about some of those ancient digital marketing companies. It's really interesting to see. I was part of a team that started aha.com that was one of the first paid search companies.
Oh, okay.
That was out there. And I joined this company early on. We were it was amazing working with such extraordinary people. And I didn't really realize at the time, what I was a part of. There were so many ups and downs, like a true startup experience. Yeah. Here I join, not very many employees.
What year was this, if you don't mind me asking?
Like a long time ago, like 2000.
Okay, wow, so like 20 years ago. Yeah, so almost last millennium, but not quite. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I joined this company. I'll never forget, walking in, I'm like, this is going to be awesome. The internet at that time, there's a whole... If you had a .com at the end of your name, you were getting funded. Yeah. And, I joined this company, and then literally a few months later, we were all gathered together in this, I'll never forget it, in this family room of this office, and the CEO stood up and he's like, hey, guess what? And he's like, we're out of money. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to college. I'm like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean we're out of money?
Yeah.
We're still going to keep working, right?
Right.
And they said, no, we're done. And I had just, like 2 or 3 days before, signed a significant distribution deal for us that was going to produce for AHA. And I was so excited about it. And I remember going home, like, what do we do? Because this was the end of the day. And I'm like, I don't know what I want to tell this guy.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be done. This is so cool. We've got so much great traction. What's going on? And so I'll never forget coming back to the office. And when I walked in, after we'd heard we were done, I saw so many other people that are there. I'm like, what are you guys doing here? They're like, we're taking care of our customers. I'm like, well, sweet. I am going to as well.
Yeah.
So literally we jump in, and I'll never forget some of the team members that we just all rallied together. And many of us worked for free.
Wow.
For months.
Okay.
And it's like, hey, we're going to build this amazing company. We're going to work for stock.
This was still AHA, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're going to make something that's going to be incredible. And I believed in the vision of where they were going and the team. And just like any startup, you have these incredible ups and downs. And we had just that. Fast forward, we ended up being acquired. And I'll never forget this, being around this management room table when they announced to the management, and I was one of just a few that was under 30 at the time.
Yeah.
And the CEO, who was absolutely extraordinary, said, "This has been an incredible journey." I'm like, "Yeah, you think? I mean, ups and downs, out of money, growing." And he said, "You'll spend the rest of your life trying to recreate what we have here." Now, that's from basically the very start until the end, but there's so much that happened in between there that I learned not only about digital marketing, but also how to build a winning team and how to build a winning culture. And the culture really is its values, your core values in action. And the relationships that I've built and had with all of those team members were so incredible. And that is what shaped and frankly spoiled me completely rotten to understand what it's like to have a high trust environment to work in. And so the founder of AHA, myself, and Chris Finken and Jay Bean said, "Hey, there's a huge market where small, medium-sized businesses have no idea how to market themselves online."
For sure.
And so we started talking about some ideas. Odd Sense left after AHA was acquired.
Now, let me ask you a quick question. Did you always have this desire to, like, when the internet came out, be like, I want to learn that business, or I want to learn what that world is like?
Yeah. Well, it was so interesting because here you had all these traditional forms of marketing that were working for so long for so many businesses. Yeah. And now this whole landscape was shifting underneath their feet, and they didn't know how or what to do. And so it was amazing. And one of the things that I'm most passionate about and love even today is talking to customers and helping them navigate this world that still continues to change, even 20 years later. But we launched Orange Soda. It was kind of a fun story. Jay and I were talking about, like, there is such a need out here and no one is really addressing this. What do you think? And he started shooting over some emails. He and Chris and I met, and we're like, "Hey, are we serious about doing this?
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think about these names?" Green Hat Media was one, and then all of a sudden, I'll never forget. He sent over. He's like, "Hey, what do you think about orangesoda.com?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's our domain name because it is going to be so much fun to build a brand around that."
For sure.
And the previous company was called aha.com. So the domain was ah-ha.com.
Yeah.
So, hey, this is Derek from aha.com. Hotdog.com?
Yeah.
No, aha. Let me spell it for you.
aha.com.
ah-ha.com.
Yeah.
And so when you'd say Orange Soda, people would almost just smile, which was a ton of fun.
Yeah, that was amazing.
So we started that in 2006. Had some amazing team members. I mean, really, as I reflect back, as we're building here, just surrounded myself with extraordinary human beings that wanted to build and contribute. And as I look now at the digital landscape, not only here in Utah but across the country, there's a lot of people who had their fingerprints on Orange Soda, and it was an incredible experience to build amongst those team members.
That's amazing, man. Okay, and I have some questions. First off, before we really get into it, Sunkist or Fanta?
The Morinda from Mexico
of
with
course you would go
actual
Morinda.
Orange
Yeah.
and real sugar is probably my favorite.
Fantastic. I want to try some of that. The real question was, you get into this digital marketing landscape. Were you solely focused on, hey, let's help people figure out how to do SEO and how to get a web presence online? Was that your primary focus for Orange Soda?
Yeah. Because what we saw, again, in kind of 2005, 2006 timeframe, you'd do a search and you'd get a whole bunch of directories, with directory listings, and no businesses were showing up there because they didn't know how to optimize for those longer or even really specific local keywords. So we worked with a lot of national brands who transacted on a local level and helped optimize that presence. But they didn't know how to navigate that, and it was really complex. So yes, it started with a website, and Google's algorithm continued to change, and so we had to stay on top of that all along the way.
Did you find that it was a bit challenging to navigate those landscapes because it kept changing all the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was first getting into just looking up things on the internet, and it was always like Alta Vista and stuff like that. And then Google was this thing that came along, and I'm like, wait, what is Google? And then Google just demolished everything else. Right. And now I know there's like Bing, and I know Yahoo was a thing as well, but Google just, I feel, destroyed everything. So
Yeah.
it was almost like you had to be on the Google search engine.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
So when a client comes to you, a potential client comes to you and says, hey, I have a lawn care company, right? And I want to take care of my clients. How would you go about helping them, maintain like a web presence?
Right now, right?
Yeah, sure. I guess
Or
right now, yeah. Well, back in 2006, or even right now, yeah.
Yeah, so it starts fundamentally, I think, with a website, and I mean, people now they're searching. They don't even have to use their hands anymore. You can just use Alexa or Siri.
Yeah.
Say, hey, find this local business for me. As a consumer, I have now more options than I've ever had before. And so, in commoditized landscapes where you have access to anything and any type of information, it's the experience, right? That's created, that really creates the differentiation. From my perspective, in working with, anyone can choose to work with anyone they want, and so the experience is what makes it really different. So for a lawn care company, right, who says, hey, I need more customers, obviously we'll look at web presence. And what they're currently doing. Some are very sophisticated with online marketing, which is fantastic, and others just need an extension of their team, someone that they can trust, that they can count on.
To me, it all goes back to relationships, right?
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's kind of how you guys really succeed in Orange Soda, was you really took care of your customers, and so they built like a sense of loyalty, and they're like, we want you guys to do the thing.
Yeah.
So. Okay, let's keep going back to Orange Soda. You built this agency up, and then clients just started coming in. Is it one of those, if you build it, they will come type of situations, or what happened? How did that go?
When we first started, we had this idea, and I had some deep relationships in the industry, which was great. And these were all search marketing specific agencies that were working with really big brands. And I said, hey, what are your minimums? And they're like, man, our minimums just to manage these accounts are 6 figures. And I said, what about that's on a monthly basis?
On a monthly basis?
Yeah, and I said, what about people that's their budget for the year? They're like, yeah, we just turn them away. I'm like, where do you turn them away? Like, we don't have anywhere. I'm like, well, there's a pretty interesting business model, right?
Yeah.
As part of this. And so I'll never forget when I said, hey, this is what I'm doing, reached out to a few people in my network. And it was about, we started in September
of 2006.
2006.
Okay.
And in October, we had one of my friends, his name's Jeff. He's so awesome. He reached out. He's like, hey, by the way, we've just come across a client that we're not going to be able to service because they don't meet our minimum requirement. And would you be able to handle this? And it was a substantial amount.
Are you kidding me?
And I said, you're turning that away? And I said, is this on a monthly basis? Yeah, this is on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
So WID just started. And they said, well, you probably need to fly out, to Chicago and present to the company.
Sure.
I'm like, okay, I guess that's what we're going to do. So we booked plane tickets. We fly out there. We put together a whole, proposal and presented to them. And I mean, it was literally, so Mitch, who's here now, Mitch was back at the office.
Yeah.
We had Chris and Jay, and we're like, all right, this is what we're going to go do. And we pitched and presented, and we ended up winning the business.
No way.
And they said, okay, how do the terms work? And I said, because you're a new client, we're going to need you to prepay, for the first month. So I'll never forget when that check showed up. Yeah. And we're just starting the second month, and I opened this check. I'm like, we're onto something.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun, and that helped fuel our growth. At the same time, a lot of relationships we had from another company, we knew they were relocating, and we were able to hand select some really key team members. And we had people who believed in us early on to say, hey, we want to be a part of this. And so we were able to grow. And now as you look back, it's like, man, there was a ton of bumps in the road, and we had all our challenges. But what's so amazing to me when I see former team members that I worked with, it's like I just run up, like, it's so good to see you again, because we created so many memories there. And we try to be so deliberate around, our core values. We call it a 6-pack.
Okay.
Right? Everything around this kind of 6-pack and a 6-pack of core values. And we did our best to hire and train and invest in our team members. And it's been really fun to see other companies that have been started who have roots back to Orange Soda.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing, man. And Orange Soda was I guess, in existence for like 6 or 7 years before it was acquired,
That's right. Yep.
Okay. So how did that go? Did the company just say, "Hey, we like you guys enough to buy you"?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
I won't bore you with all the details because as we grew, we worked with a lot of amazing channel partners as well, where they had access to clients and they said, "We want to white label and have you guys do all the fulfillment for us." But we had a lot of interest, based on what we were trying to do, and some partners came along and said, "Hey, we're interested in your business." One of the craziest scenarios is we literally ended up having 2 term sheets, and we were like, "All right, what are we gonna do?" It was a pretty tumultuous time, and we ended up signing with Deluxe, and they purchased the company in 2012, and it was great working with some amazing team members there, and
there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's amazing. So that happened, and then you guys exited the company, and then what did you do after that?
I stayed there for about 2 years, and then there were some other passion projects that I was really excited about that I wanted to go spend some time in and building and creating. Had an amazing opportunity to work in the action camera space, which was fun.
Whoa,
for a
no
short
way.
period of time. Yeah.
So what was that? What was that like?
I studied industrial design at BYU, which is the major for inventing, and I remember working on all these amazing projects. And I said, this would be really cool. My friend Danny had just left his job at Apple to come and help run this company, and there had been some real challenges with the company. They relocated to Utah, and I remember showing up, and there was a ton of challenges, and I'm like, okay, I'm going into this eyes wide open, and jumped right in, and we helped the company grow and scale.
Awesome.
And I was there for just a short period of time because I realized we were able to create and engage with a lot of our brands and the brand ambassadors that we had before that were really excited about what we were doing, and they're like, hey, we're back. We're able to build, and then that company was actually just acquired, and then I spent some time with some of the other investments, and one of the coolest experiences was getting reconnected with some friends and introduced to Greg Trimble.
Yeah, I'd love to know how that all transpired.
So, and now I'm at Lemonade Stand. So the citrus runs deep.
It runs deep, man. You got lemon in your blood.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, Greg and I were introduced by a mutual friend, and they said, "Hey, why don't you this guy Greg started a company called Lemonade Stand." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome! Little digital marketing company.
Yeah.
Well, that's a ton of fun." So we met for breakfast, and I was super impressed with him. He's got an amazing track record with what he's done, and he actually told me, he said, "We built this inspired by orange soda." I said, "Oh, that's awesome." We met, had great conversations,
right?
And he told me about his clients and just his philosophy and the culture and how they build their team. And how they invest in their team, and then he told me about the platform Yala that they had built, and showed me the client retention and how well they were servicing and taking care of customers. Like, this is awesome. Let's stay in touch, and we did. We stayed in touch, and we.
Now, how long ago was that when you?
So it was almost 2 years ago.
2 years ago when you met up with him for the first time. Awesome.
Yep. And so we stayed in touch over the course of those years, and. I think it was last October. He said, "Hey, Derek, we're getting some real traction here, and we're excited about what we're doing. Do you want to come and jump on board?" I said, "Well, I've got some other commitments that I'm working on right now, so let's touch base first part of the year." And so 2020 rolls in. Okay, we got this. And so I stayed in touch with him, and he said, "Hey, I really want you to come and join the company." And so March 9th, 2020. It was my first day locking arms with Greg here at the Lemonade Stand, and super excited.
Yeah.
And literally a week later, COVID shut down everything, and we're like, "Oh my gosh, what are we gonna do?"
Yeah.
And so we did our best. We put our heads down and went to work for our clients, and making sure that they were, receiving having an amazing experience with us and producing real results for them. And the last 5 months have been some of the best months at Lemonade Stand. So
that's
really,
amazing,
really
man.
excited to be here.
That's super duper cool. I saw you eyeing that.
Drinking lemonade.
Yeah, will you go ahead and drink it? Yeah, drink a little bit of it. Product placement, guys. Product placement. So I guess we talked a little bit about struggles that you went through, right? With AHA, orange soda, stuff like that, just like different pitfalls, because the life of an entrepreneur isn't just smooth sailing. You're going to have your pitfalls, your ups and downs. Can you talk about some of those things, like some of those things, those challenges that you faced kind of building and developing whatever you've been developing?
Yeah, absolutely. One experience that really stood out to me when I was stuck, the CEO and the VP of sales had given me this charge to, hey, can you help us build this strategic accounts team? We think there's so much opportunity here, and had the opportunity to build a team and create some really amazing results. But I remember there was one day that I was stuck, and because of the culture and because of the team, I walked over to the CEO's office. The door was open, and I just walked right in. And I'm like, hey, I said, Paul, I've got some questions. I said, I'm stuck on something. Yeah. And I know how busy CEOs are, especially with what he was doing. He spun around. He said, hey, tell me what's going on. So I sat down. We started talking about some of these challenges. And he listened to me. He's like, okay. He says, I think you're on the right track. Gave me a little bit of guidance. I ended up solving my own problem. But what that did for me was establish, just this trust and credibility. And because he listened to me, now what am I going to go do? I'm going to go execute and do my very best for him and for everyone else on the team, even though I was stuck. But in what company can you walk in now and say to a CEO, it's like, hey, I'm stuck. They're like, and they go to the other guy, it's like, who is this guy?
Yeah,
why is he still here? Yeah. If he's stuck on a problem, why isn't he solving these problems for us? But he listened to me, and literally he had the ability to lead and bring so many people along, based on that vision. But that there's always struggles in business, and surrounding yourself with amazing people who can help you solve really hard and tough problems, and who will literally lock arms and go to battle with you, makes all of the difference in the world.
Absolutely. I mean, I think about films that I've worked on and TV shows and whatnot. Every film set, it has its own set of problems. It's just your limited budget, or your actors didn't show up, or whatever it is. It's just some problem that you have to kind of like resolve. And I've noticed there's certain personalities that if they get together, it just becomes very, very volatile, right? And you're like, oh man, this project is never going to happen. And they stop. The projects just don't succeed because the energy behind it is kind of negative.
Yeah.
But I've also seen the flip side where you have really great people, really humble people. They work together as a team, and they say, okay, this happened. What can we do? And how do we resolve this issue? And I remember I was working on a pilot a couple years ago, pen pals actually. And when I was doing this pilot, the team that we had, the four of us, like the main four that decided to start it, were already really good friends. And we had like certain personalities. Like the director, he's just like this really relaxed, chill guy, but he got stuff done. And he was so nice that when he called the crew to come and help him, everyone came and showed up and did work for free for a couple of days. They just came and they showed up because they were like, hey, we just want to help you guys out. And I just thought that was super duper cool that people who are professionals in their industry would come and give their time just because they wanted to see us succeed.
Yeah.
And so I really remember thinking that's the key, creating the right culture, the right team. Now, you've done that a couple of times already. So what would you say is the most important thing when you want to create a team?
Great question. Building a team, I think everything revolves around trust. Sure. Trust, from my perspective, is the deepest form of love. And when you have trust, you have everything. In the absence of trust, you're always looking over your shoulder and you're thinking goofy thoughts. And how do we navigate through this? But I don't know that there's any specific thing outside of that really trust is the foundation of any team and building. And there's a lot of people that we brought on that took a chance on us, and we took a chance on them. And it was just amazing to see when you have clear roles and goals and a strategy where you can go and execute. And there's also times in the absence of that where there's not a lot of clarity. It's like, we've got to go blaze a trail. Who's up for it? And it's like you see people volunteering, and saying, I'm in. I'm going to come and help. In fact, I was just thinking about, I'll never forget Devin, who actually he's an amazing team member. he came in. I'd spend time with all of our new employees and all of our new team members, just getting to know what are they passionate about, what brought them here, how did they learn about you know, the company, and finding out where they really wanted to go. And had a great meeting there. And I remember he walked by my office. He's like, "Hey," he's like, "Derek, you don't know me, but you will." And I'm like, I love that. I love that confidence. I'm like, this guy's going places. And so we were super intentional around hiring the right culture fit, because I think that's so critical to bring people in that you literally can lock arms with and go to battle with. And literally, Devin was his name, and he was leading our sales team, I think, 8 months later after that.
That's amazing.
He's now head of Google Fiber.
Oh my gosh,
running that.
He's
such a great person. We had so many people just like that. That's one example that I think about. But so many extraordinary people who literally their hearts and their minds were totally engaged in what we were trying to accomplish. Despite our weaknesses and all of our challenges, they still showed up every single day and did great work.
Oh man, I love that. That's fantastic. I keep thinking about the word you were saying regarding trust, right? Like you have to trust your employees. You have to trust the people you're working with. Now, when I was in college, I learned that the word trust means to be comfortable while you're vulnerable. And I really like that. So it's like, who could you be comfortable and vulnerable with? And I think that if you're vulnerable around your employees and around people that you are in your inner circle or whatnot, it almost like gives them permission to be vulnerable around yourself and to say, okay, you know what? This guy is like me, and you know, we can kind of empower each other and help each other and grow, instead of like that mentality of like, oh, I'm the boss, you're my subordinates, you know, you have to do what I say type of thing. So that's awesome. Okay, so shifting gears a little bit, you've had different struggles and whatnot. What brings you joy right now?
What brings me joy? I'd say, you know, the thing that brings me the greatest joy is a couple of things. I think my family obviously brings me the greatest joy. And when I say family, there's really two families that I'm a part of, right?
Okay.
There's my own family, and then there's my work family.
Yeah.
And our clients are part of that family as well. And I love spending time with both of them, because we dedicate a lot of time to our co-working family and also our own family. I love seeing them discover new things and recognize and learn and push themselves to the
You're talking
next
about both
level.
the work family and
both,
your family.
Yep. Seeing them grow and overcome obstacles and solve problems and build and help, because you know, if you take a step back and think, what are we really here to try to accomplish? And I think about all the incredible mentors and team members that I've been around. They've all inspired me in one way or another. And isn't it interesting when we think about whatever we do professionally is meant to help and bless and someone else, and we're really here for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I don't know, I've just been learning more and more about, it really isn't just about you. It's about helping everybody else, you know? And by helping other people, you gain a sense of purpose. You get a sense of joy. Especially because during the situation with COVID, right, where the entire world kind of shut down and a lot of things changed. A lot of things changed for a lot of people. I know of a lot of businesses that were thriving and now they're out of business. How did you navigate those times when you barely got to be a partner at Lemonade Stand, and then boom, the world shuts down?
Yeah, great question. I'll never forget a night when I stopped by the office. It was, you know, Greg and I were both working late, and this was right after I'd started. Yeah. And he says, "Hey, can I show you something?" And so we sat down on the couch, and in our little office here, and we were talking, and he said, "I want to show you this video." And it's really interesting. It's Ryan Smith, the founder of Qualtrics, gave a talk at the BYU commencement. And he said, "Look, I'm probably not the most qualified to speak here," and he talked about being all in, and I think that was one of the most profound things. Even though, you know, having been in business, having, you know, been around, but I've seen when team members come in and they're all in. Yeah. And as I'm now making this transition, Greg's betting on me, I'm betting on him. Yeah. We've got to be all in. Yeah. And it was one of those moments where I just sat back and I'm like, if we're going to make a difference, if we're going to grow, if we're going to build and bless people's lives, not only here at Lemonade Stand, and make sure that we keep everyone employed and have them still have their jobs,
Sure.
it means we got to go to work.
Yeah.
I got to go to work. And so literally I rolled up my sleeves and started talking to customers and taking calls and being super responsive with what we were doing. And I had a great time doing it. That's what's been so amazing. And to see, you know, from that, not necessarily, I mean, it was a decision point to be all in when I first came,
Sure.
but within a couple weeks after starting realizing, all right, this is our new norm. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And saying, we're all in. We're all in on supporting each other because we're all in on supporting our clients. And it's been so amazing. You know, some of our clients were impacted, but a lot of our clients that we work with are still in business and still thriving because everyone's moving to this digital context and searching for and trying to find, find products or services that they need right now. And I still don't think we're out of it. And I still think there's tremendous challenges ahead.
Sure.
Think about the unemployment, and there's so many people who have been affected by this. And that's one of the things that Greg and I talk about all the time is how can we help more?
Well, okay, how can you help more? Like, what does the future of Lemonade Stand look like? Because I know part of the company's motto and ideals are to build and bless.
Yeah.
Right? So what does that look like?
We have a lot of opportunities right now that we see on the horizon. Where I see Lemonade Stand in the next 2 to 3 years is continuing to build and bless. You know, we've added team members, significant number of team members just within the last 45 days, which has been awesome to be hiring in this environment. So we're doing our part and doing it in a wise way to make sure that we're delivering for our customers and also bringing on, the best, most qualified team members. So that's how we're helping in just a small way.
Sure.
But I see that, starting to grow and expand. I've had a number of people who have reached out to me who are looking and helping point them based on their skill sets and also bringing additional team members in, continue to grow and build. That's what I'm most excited about.
Well, it's awesome. I mean, I look at it from my own personal point of view. I was doing these Zoom call interviews just for fun, like for no other reason other than just to share some goodness in the world. And the fact that Greg would be like, Sharon, do this for Lemonade Stand. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is insane, And so it's interesting. And I love the mindset that you guys have of, wanting to create like blog content, video content, anything like that. That's sole purpose is to just promote good in the world and to just kind of be a light, because unfortunately there just is too much darkness in this world. And so I think it's great that you guys have that motto and that desire to build and bless. Yeah. So, all right, last question for you. What would you tell your younger self? The self that graduated high school in '94, I believe, right? Just like not entirely sure what the future is going to be at all for you. What would you tell that self as you left high school?
Be nice.
Okay.
It's so interesting as I think back on the experiences where people have been kind and reached out in one way or another. And I'd also say, you know what? Future's bright. Keep your head down, work hard, be persistent, be resilient. You'll have a ton of things that will come at you and all of these challenges, but there's an opportunity every single day as we wake up curious and find out how can I help, or what can I use my talents and abilities to do to help or lift someone else, And a lot of times nowadays where we have access to any type of material, we don't know what we may say or do that may help someone else. But man, I think those would be the biggest opportunities. Good things are to come.
I totally agree. I mean, I think sometimes when you look, and especially right now, everyone's like panicking, right? There's so many different messages out in the media, a lot of negativity, and yet I still think there's so much room for positivity and light and joy. So, and I think that message of just being nice and being kind and figure out ways to keep that wonder alive is now more prevalent than ever.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
and as you think about, what hope can do, right?
Sure.
Having hope in something, hope that we're going to be able to get through this, hope that we're going to be able to, and you think about how resilient human beings are, the opportunity, but you think what happens when you have hope versus not having hope.
Yeah.
Right? Hope gives you this inner drive, again, to say, man, we can go and we can do this.
Yeah.
It changes not only the trajectory of the day, month, year, but having that ongoing hope and reminding yourself it's like things are going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that, as we look back through history,
Sure.
challenges, but the degree to which hope remained strong and alive, or the ability for people to be successful and come out on top.
I love that. That's a great way to end this podcast. But seriously, hopefulness is an incredible quality that hopefully should, I say hope again, should reside in our hearts, because I have found that in my own life, right? The more I've had hope, the brighter my future was.
Yep.
And I've had my own life where things have changed drastically all the time, and yet I've had hope, and as a result of it, I find myself always on top, always with a positive outcome and a positive result. Even though at the time it might seem kind of negative, it yields a positive outcome down the road if you have to wait a little bit. So, well, Derek, thank you, man. I really appreciate you taking the time and joining me on the Lemonade Stand podcast. I'm excited to keep working with you and building and blessing the lives of people.
We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you, man.
Jared.
Appreciate it.
For all you're doing.
Thanks so much for listening to the Lemonade Stand podcast, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you use to be alerted when we release new episodes. We'd also love to hear your feedback in the reviews, and if you or someone you know has an awesome Lemonade Stand story, please reach out to us on social media and let us know. Thanks so much, and have a great day.